بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين dhammaan daawadayaasha qiimaha iyo qaayaha leh ee naga daawanaya telefishinka weyn ee kalsan waxaan idinku soo dhaweynaynaa barnaamijkii toddobaadlaha ee Gurmad barnaamijkan oo ka baxa telefishinkan habeen kasta oo xada waxaan ku soo qaadan dhignaa qadaayooyin iyo arrimo muhiim u ah ummadda kuwa caafimaad kuwa siyaasadeed kuwa dhaqaale kuwa waxbarasho kuwa amni caawa waxaa mar kale inoo suurta gashay inaan ku casino dhakhtarka weyn ee ku takhasusay cudurrada dhimirka ama maskaxda gala ee la yiraahdo Dr. Mohammed Zain Green Thompson oo ka tirsan Cambridge dhakhtarkani waa nin ku takhasusay cudurrada maskaxda dhowr jeerna aan la yeelanay kulamo caawa waxaan ka hadli doonaa oo muhiim ah waxa la yiraahdo mental illness and the law in United Kingdom waxaan ka hadli doonaa cudurrada dhimirka iyo sharciga waxaana dhakhtarku diiradda saari doonaa dalkan UK dhammaan dadweynaha waxaan ka codsanaynaa in ay si degan ula socdaan barnaamijka oo muhiim ah awoodna inoo siin doona inaan fahamno dadka sida ay ku galaan isbitaalada inta ay ku jiri karaan isbitaalada kala duwan iyo xaqa qofku uu leeyahay xaqa sidoo kale qofka ehelkiisu qofka jiran ee la gelinayo isbitaalka ehelkiisu uu leeyahay iyo haddii aan dareeno in cadaalad darro jirto ama waxa dhacaya markaasi aanan ku qanacsanayn si talaabooyinka aan qaadi karno waa barnaamij runtii muhiima marka hore waxaan ku soo dhaweyn doonaa dhakhtarka barnaamijka wuxuu ku baxayaa luqadda ingiriisiga waxaana dhinac socon doontaa tarjumad dhammaantiin waxaan idinka rajaynaynaa inaad nagala qayb qaadataan Dr. Mohammed Zain Green Thompson, once again, welcome to Kalsan TV.
Assalamu alaikum, it's a pleasure to be here.
MashaAllah. It is a great opportunity for us as the Kalsan TV teams, members of the Kalsan TV, to invite you to the program and to make good use of the knowledge Allah has given you. We go straight into the topic. Our topic tonight is mental illness and the law in United Kingdom. As a consultant psychiatrist, person who has been given by Allah a knowledge in this field, we would like you to explain to us the following things. People are admitted into hospitals, psychiatrist units across the country, some of them voluntarily, while others are against their will. There are obviously different admissions based on different needs. So could you please explain to me or to the audience what are the different admissions and the length of stay for each? Thank you very much.
Alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullahi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi tasliman kathira. Assalamu alaikum, one and all. So, for all of the people at home, and for any of us, to have a loved one admitted to hospital is always a difficult time. To have a loved one admitted to a psychiatric hospital because they're in distress is of course also a distressing event for the family as a whole. But when somebody is admitted to hospital, manifestly against their will, when they require perhaps even the police to take them into hospital, it can be very confusing to the families, in the sense that you certainly want your family member to be cared for, you want your family member to be protected from harming themselves or harming someone else, but you don't really know what the law is and what the situation is and when you'll ever see them again. So in the United Kingdom, if we're to start simply, if somebody was unwell in the community and you went to your family GP to ask your GP for help, that your husband or your wife or your son or your daughter or your brother, sister, mother, father was severely depressed or was hearing voices and seeing visions, had a psychotic illness, and it was decided that they did not have a sufficient understanding, they really were so unwell that they didn't realize they needed to be admitted to hospital, and they were not able to safely make the decision to refuse treatment, then due to their mental illness they might be judged to be worthy of compulsory admission under the Mental Health Act. So that is the law, the Mental Health Act. Now there are different sections of that law. If the admission was merely for an assessment to see for a few weeks what is going on, what can we do, what treatment might be useful, and then to decide whether the person could be discharged back to the community or needed a longer admission in hospital. What we would normally call an assessment order is known under the Mental Health Act as a Section 2, and that's only valid for up to 28 days, 4 weeks. That's a maximum. Now, who can bring in a Section 2? So normally it would be 2 doctors and an approved mental health professional. Now, the approved mental health professional, we call that AMHP or AMP for short. It's usually a social worker who has some training, but it could be a nurse who has training, or it could be an occupational therapist who has specific training. The AMP can never be a medical doctor. The other 2 people are medical doctors, and what is often best is if one of them knows the patient well, such as the patient's own GP, but the other needs to have a certain level of training under the law, under the Mental Health Act, and that's usually a psychiatrist. So those 2 doctors will make a medical recommendation, and the AMP will make an application. And that paperwork will go to a magistrate, but the person will be admitted to hospital for up to 28 days.
Okay.
Now, and once they're in hospital, one last thing is that the consultant who's in charge of that person in hospital is known as the responsible clinician, and they could discharge the person as soon as they're well, even if it's well before 4 weeks. So they don't have to be kept up to the full 4 weeks. They could be discharged earlier. Of course, if the person was suffering from a relapse in the community from a very well-known illness, and their relapse is very characteristic, the family have seen this many times before, we don't really need an assessment. We know what's going on, and we just want a longer period of treatment. And that would be a treatment order known as a Section 3. And a Section 3 simply is for up to 6 months in the first instance. But that's the maximum, and the consultant could release the person early if they're well.
I think Dr. Mohammed Zain Green Thompson. Okay. waxaan dhakhtarkaa weydiiyey macnaha sidaa maqlaysin dadka waxay la geliyaa amba loo diraa isbitaallo qaarna si maaragtay xor ah ayaa loo geeyaa qaarna ayagoon doonaynaa lagu khasbaa inay tagaan marka waxaa noo sheegtaa sababaha kala duwan ee dadka loogu diro qaababka kala duwan ee dadka loogu diro ama ay ku galaan isbitaalka iyo inta ay ku jirayaan dhakhtarku wuxuu ka hadlay waxa uu yiri qof ka dhashay familkaaga oo xabiibkaagi ah amba dhashay amba kula dhashay amba ku dhalay macnaha la geliyaa isbitaal dadka dhimirka qaba waa arin dhibaato leh macnaha waxay noqonaysaa mararka qaar mid walaac iyo walwal abuurta booliiska xataa iyagu ku gelin kara markay ku arkaan inaadan caadi ahayn marka waxay ila tahay haddii aad u tagto GB-ga oo qofii markaasi uu yahay ehelkaagu uu yahay qof ka sheeganaya markaa inuu codad maqlayo amba arkayo muuqaalo arkayo marka waxa ay tahay if the person is hearing voices and for example seeing visions and you take to the GB and you are concerned means there can be admissions made to the hospital for assessment.
It may not be necessary if the person accepts that they're unwell and they accept they need to take medication every day and they accept they need to come in for follow-up and they're not paranoid about other people, they don't have any feelings of hurting somebody else in self-defense. It may be possible, and in fact we would want to leave that person in the community and treat them at home. But where it's clearly just not possible, it's not safe for that person, and it may be that that person may even react to hurt other people out of a misplaced sense of self-defense, then in those cases it's obviously safer for the person and for the community to admit them to hospital.
Okay, and this is what you are referring,
yes.
Section 2,
especially when
this is civil admission.
Yes, these are civil sections. We'll
civil
talk about
sections.
Forensic sections in a minute where it's through the court, but these are civil sections,
civil
2
sections.
or Section 3.
And this last is 28 days.
A maximum of 28
days.
The consultant could release somebody under Section 2 earlier, and Section 3 a maximum of 6 months. But again, the consultant could release the person earlier.
Yeah, definitely. I think sidaad maqlaysaan qofku haddii uu yahay mid markaasi xanuunkii hayo laakiin aan paranoid ku ahayn aan khoof ama cabsi aan sal lahayn ka qabin dadkii kale daawadii qaadanaya qofkaasi mujtamaca waa lagu dhaxayn karaa laakiin qofkii haddii walaac laga qabo inuu asaga isdhibo ama dadkii dhibo markaasi waxay noqonayaa in la geliyo isbitaalkii admissionka oo lagu geliyo section 2 waa civil admission waa admission markaasi aynan maxkamado iyo cid kale ku lahayn marka waxana inta badan wuxuu yahay ujeedadu in assessment lagu sameeyo in qofka la eego xaaladiisa marka waxa uu ku jirayaa ugu badnaan 28 casho ayaa la hayn karaa qofkaasi waxa suurtagal ayuu yiri dhakhtarka Mohammed Zain Green Thompson in qofkaasi la soo deyn karo waqti hore waxa jira isaguna section 3 oo ah admission for treatment macnaha gelitaan la gelinayo qofkii isbitaalka la gelinayo lagu daaweeyo cudurrada dhimirka ama maskaxda gala qofkaasi waxa uu ku jirayaa 6 months lakin it is possible that he can be released much earlier depending on the okay my question is that these admissions one is for assessment another for treatment and they have different length of period what I wanted is to now look at section 37 which we always hear section 37 the admission is where a hospital order we call it.
Absolutely. So the first thing is that you shouldn't get too confused between the terms assessment and treatment. Even on a section 2 which is for up to 28 days the person can be treated. It's simply that the shorter period is because the intent is to try and assess what the problem is. But during that period, certainly you can give the person treatment, and often we do give the person treatment to see how they will respond. Now, as you said, these are the civil sections. Now, before we go into the forensic sections, one thing that people might be confused, they might say, well, if my relative was admitted to the psychiatric hospital or even to the general hospital as a voluntary patient, and while they were already inpatient in hospital, they became very disruptive and they needed compulsory psychiatric treatment. What would happen then? So that gathering of those two doctors and the AMP is known as a Mental Health Act assessment. And if the person comes to A&E and gets admitted to a general medical ward, or they accept admission to a psychiatric ward, and only later do they become very agitated and they insist on leaving, and it's regarded as unsafe due to their mental illness, then a Mental Health Act assessment would be held in the hospital rather than in the community, and they would be held under temporary section in the hospital, section 5. If it's a doctor, section 5, subsection 2, for up to...
While in the general hospital.
While in a general hospital. So on a general medical ward, any doctor on the general medical ward can say, well, you were coming here for, because you had a broken leg, and that seems to be fixed now, but you seem very depressed. You say you want to jump out of a window. We're very worried. You're saying you want to leave hospital. So I'm going to detain you under section 5, subsection 2 of the Mental Health Act. It's a maximum of 72 hours, during which time a proper Mental Health Act assessment needs to be held with those two qualified doctors and the AMP. And that will happen in the hospital.
And it is their decision that would tell you where...
Yes, either put the person on a 2 or a 3 or let them go.
Okay. dhakhtarka wuxuu leeyahay marmar waxaa dhacda qof la geeyay isbitaalka guud oo loo geeyay daawo masalan lug baa jabtay ama wax buu ka noqday marka dhakhaatiirtu ayagoo oo daaweeyay ayaa waxay leeyihiin dhageyso lugtaadii waxay u muuqataa inaan daaweyno laakiin waan ka murugaysanahayo waxaad rabtay inaad dariishada ka booddo ama isdhibaatayso sidaa darteed waa ku celinaynaa oo waxaan kugu celinaynaa under section 5 marka meeshaasaa qofka lagu celinayaa marka waxaa imanaya tiim ka kooban labo dhakhtar iyo mental health practitioner marka ayagaas labada dhakhtar ay iyo qofka kale asaguna maaragtay majaalka dibiga khibradda u leh ayaa go'aan gaaraya waxaa laga yaabaa markaasi in ay soo baxdo in lagu gudbiyo isbitaalkii cudurrada dhimirka. Okay, so honestly, how can section 5 work in a general hospital? General hospital, you are more likely to be with other patients in a ward. So how can detention be applied to such person?
Yes,
would there be a police officer or somebody in the ward?
No, if the patient tried to run away after they were put under Section 5 in a general hospital, and remember that's just a temporary section waiting for them to have a mental health act assessment.
And it is only 72 hours.
And it's only 3 days, maximum 72 hours. If they were trying to run away, we might say that a nurse or a healthcare assistant needs to watch the patient to see if they try to run away. If they try to run away, they'll call hospital security, and the hospital security guards will prevent the patient from leaving
by forcing them
by force for their best
interest,
in their best interest. So and they might be given some sedation. Although really, what we want to do is have that mental health act assessment as soon as possible, not 70 hours later, but 2 hours later if possible. We want to have it as quickly as possible.
The 70 is just the
it's a maximum.
It's a maximum. But it is better to be carried out as quickly
as possible. That's in the patient's best interest.
Well, that's good. Sida maqlaysaan dhakhtarka waxa uu leeyahay qofkaasi oo kale isbitaalka caadi loo geeyo lagu dareemay inuunan markaasi deganeyn ama maskaxdiisu qasan tahay waxa ku sameynaya qiimeyn xaaladiisa qiimeynaya laba dhakhtar iyo qof kale oo majaalkan khibrad u leh marka ayay waxay go'aan ku gaarayaan meesha la geynay inta uu ku jiro waxaan weydiiyay sidee loo dabaqayaa in la hayo waxa loo sheegayaa nurseska iyo shaqaalaha isbitaalka haddii uu isku dayo inuu cararana security-ga qabanaya ilaa meel laga geynay. Okay, well just now we are going into the generally heard term section. This person has been detained under section 37. So what is this section for, Dr.?
So section 37 is very easy to understand as well. In this case, with the forensic sections, there's no need for the app that approved mental health professional, because here the person is now been apprehended by the police and is part of the criminal justice system now. So somebody could be arrested not simply for something serious such as harming somebody else or even killing somebody else, but even if somebody, let's say, was very disturbed and they decided to buy a bucket of or a tin of pink paint and come to your house and paint your door pink for no reason other than they thought that somebody had heard voices saying that your door should be pink. So they could be behaving in a very odd way, and the police may come and arrest this person. In that case, if they've sort of damaged your door by painting it the color you don't like, maybe arrest them for criminal damage, or if they have assaulted somebody on the street because they thought that that person was going to hurt them, the police may arrest them for common assault. So they've been arrested and they're now part of the criminal justice system and they go before the court. It would depend on the seriousness of the charge as to whether they go before a magistrate or before eventually a high court, the Crown Court judge. So what will happen there is that if, when it comes to sentencing, the judge feels that because of the at least for two medical reports that the judge has received, that this person is, behaved in such a way as a consequence of a mental disorder at the time of the offence, then the judge might decide that instead of sentencing this person to prison, I should give a sentence of sentencing this person to hospital for treatment, a hospital order, and that is a section 37.
If it is proven that the act he committed, the criminal act, was as a result of his mental condition.
Yes. Now the judge is not making that decision on his own. He has to have at least two independent medical reports to say that.
He has to rely on those.
And he has to rely on those. So if he has no medical reports, he can't just put patient in section 37.
Okay. walaalayaal sidaa maqlaysaan dhakhtarka wuxuu ka hadlay inteena badan aan maqalnaa qofkani waxaa lagu xareeyey amba isbitaal lagu geliyey section 37 marka wuxuu yahay masalan tusaale wuxuu usoo qaatay qofka dembiga gala ama jariimo geysta laakiin wuxuu yidhi muhim maaha inaad jariimo iin geysato waxaa soo qaaday tusaale ruux isagu soo gatay baaldi macnaha rinji ah oo la yimid gurigaaga ilbaabkiisa markaa bilaabay inuu rinjiyeeyo markaa qofkaasi rinji aadan jeclaysan waxaadan sugin buu ku sameeyey criminal damage u geystay booliisku waxaa laga yaabaa in ay xiraan waxaa kaloo jira qofka isagoo common assaultiga ruux jidka iska maraya weerara ama meel iska taagan ee dhib u geysta marka waxa uu kiiskani waxay ku xiran tahay hadba dhibka la geystay intuu leegyahay mar waxay u gudbaysaa magistrates if the issue is not if the damages or the assault that has been carried out it hasn't cost it that much it goes to magistrates it goes to the crown isn't it
so a magistrate or a high court judge could put a patient on a section 37 now section 37 a normal section 37 without any restrictions is just like a section 3 it's also for up to 6 months in the first instance the only difference is that with the section 3 and for section 2 but certainly for section 3 which is also up to 6 months the patient can appeal against the detention before the 6 months is up so a patient could appeal to a mental health tribunal to be released and challenge the decision and so but for section 37 in the first 6 months you can't appeal so what is this mental health act tribunal the people who sit on the tribunal, if it's for a normal Section 3 tribunal, for example, or Section 2 tribunal, the chair of the tribunal, there are 3 people on the tribunal, the chair of the tribunal will be a lawyer with familiarity with this part of the law, but with the other forensic tribunals, and certainly where there are restriction orders, it would normally be a judge. The second person in the tribunal is a psychiatrist who's independent and who is contracted to the government for the purpose of that assessment. And the third person is a member of the community, so it could be a community activist or somebody who has high standing in any particular community who's prepared to be a lay member of the tribunal to offer their time and to come and conduct part of the assessment, and both the independent doctor and the lay member of the tribunal might go and see the patient in the ward before the tribunal sits to see how they could interview the patient to see a bit more. So besides the reports that they will read from the doctors and the social workers and anyone else, they might go and see the person in advance. And so, Brother Sahel, you are somebody who might consider offering yourself as a lay member of a tribunal if you feel that you have the time to do that.
Oh, that's a good thing. Thank you very much. Good suggestion and good point across to me. Thank you. I think one thing I would like to clarify. This is very good discussion, honestly, and is a very enlightening. I think if you said section 37 is just like section 3.
If there's no restriction order.
Yeah.
So we haven't spoken about restriction orders.
Definitely, yeah. Well, just is only for 6 months. For example, if somebody is put into, this is against the will. Section 37 is against the will. It is not a civil admission. But
the consultant can still release somebody on a normal Section 37 whenever they deem fit.
Without going back to the people who said...
There's no restriction order. So on Section 37, it's just like a Section 3.
Okay. Without the restriction order.
Without the restriction
order. Okay. And just what I wanted to highlight is that if the relatives, the family members of the person detained under Section 37 are unhappy about the decision, they can appeal against on his behalf, isn't it? They can appeal.
No, the patient has to appeal.
The patient has
to appeal. Obviously, they can encourage their patient to appeal. Now, when it comes to the family being unhappy about their family member being detained in hospital, Section 37 obviously is 2 medical recommendations and a judge. So that just happens, and then you can't appeal that immediately, but of course you could work to support your family member, and hopefully they get well quickly. With the Section 3, however, before the Section 3 can even be applied, the AMP, the approved mental health professional, has to phone the nearest relative, the next of kin, and get their permission to put the person under a Section 3. Now, with the Section 2, which is up to 28 days, you can even detain somebody if the next of kin refuses.
The Section 2, the first one, the admission for assessment.
Yes, but the good practice is that you always try and get hold of
the consent of
the next of kin. So next of kin is obviously a legal term, and so, for example, if it was your son or your daughter,
you would be the next of kin.
The older of the two parents will be the next of kin.
Okay, the older.
So if the mother is 1 year older than the father, then the mother is the next of kin.
So,
if the father is 1 year older than the mother, then the father is the next of kin. And obviously, if it's not parents, then it could be brothers, it could be children, adult children, etc. So it's the legal term, of the next of kin. So when the NHS asks, who's your next of kin? People should think clearly about it, because when
you have to understand,
what they are asking. Yes,
I mean, this is not the next of kin, a distant cousin coming.
Absolutely. Unless there's no one else, then it will come down to those things. In the event sometimes where somebody has a very, let's say somebody was abused by their father when they were a child, and now they're growing up and they have depression, they're going in hospital, and the social worker is always going to speak to their father about admitting them. They might find that very distressing. Maybe their parents are divorced, maybe they've got no contact with their father, but their father's still legally their next of kin. They can apply to the court for that particular person to be removed. But that's a separate process, but that is possible.
Definitely.
So the family certainly do have a role, and obviously the hospital teams, with the permission of the patient, are happy to usually involve the family in rehabilitation.
Because they recognize the importance of the family involvement. Yeah.
But certainly when a Section 3 is being applied, the AMP must make every effort to contact the next of kin and to get their consent.
To summarize what you said, Section 2, person can be sent to the person can be detained with or without the consent of the family.
It's good practice still to try and contact.
Section 3, for example, admissions into the hospital for treatment, this can also be done with and without the consent of the family.
No, you need, with the Section 3, you
need the consent.
You need the consent of the next of kin.
Okay, but sometimes, Dr. Muhammad, sometimes people would always say against something which they may not have knowledge about. They may oppose something, and the specialist may be right in their own decision. In this case,
obviously, in emergency situations, you might have to do different things. I mean, if the person was really very extremely agitated and unsafe, you may not even get to contact the next of kin until the next day, because you couldn't contact them, and you may have to put a patient under Section 2. But you try to contact the next of kin in all cases. That's a forensic section, obviously. The judge issues it. It's like a sentence, but then you see what happens next.
Yeah. walaalayaal sidaa la socotaan waxaa ka hadlaynaa qaababka kala duwan ee dadka cudurrada dhimirka ama maskaxda wax ka qabaa ay ku galaan isbitaalaadka psychiatric unitska. waxaa jira ka hadalnay Section 2 oo ah gelitaan la gelinayo oo qofka markaasi aynan maxkamad ama jiha aynan khasbaynin. Marka waxa uu qofku ku jiraa ugu badnaan 28 casho, ujeedadana waxay tahay in assessment lagu sameeyo. waxaa jira isaguna section leader Section 3 oo qofka loo gelinayo in la daaweeyo, waxa uu ku jiraa 6 bilood ugu badnaan, inkastoo suurtagal tahay ka hor in la soo bixiyo. waxaa jira section leader Section 37 oo qofka markaasi aanan xor u ahayn oo civil admission ma ahan, waxa diraya maxkamad baa diraysa, ama ha noqoto mid maaragtay magistrateska ama mid sare ayaa diraysa. qofka markani waxa uu geystay dhib uu geystay xorma u aha, waxa uu ku jiraa meeshaasi. marka dhakhtarka wuxuu ka hadlay haddii ehelada ama next of kin qofka la gelinayo isbitaalaadkan ay markaasi habi ku ahayn, decision kaasi waxay ka qaadan karaan appeal, waa racfaan bay ka qaadan karaan, way ka doodi karaan. marka wuxuu macneeyay kelimada next of kin, haddii masalan awlaadaada mid kamida uu yahay loo baahdo in next of kin ama aqrab al-aqarib ay markaasi meesha timaado, qofka ugu dhow xiriir ahaan waa marka dhiigga la fiiriyo, xiriirka sida la isu dhaldhalay ehelka la isugu yahay. waxa aabaha iyo hooyada markaasi sharciyan la ogolaanayaa qofkii markaa dacweyn haddii odaga reerku uu sanad xataa ka weyn yahay haweeneyda asaga ayaa sharcigu ogol yahay marka appeal baa qofka ka samaysan kara wuxuu kaloo nagu gubaabiyey in maaragtay tribunalka in laga qayb qaato oo ayagu awood u leh inay u kuurgalaan arrimaha qofkan laga doodayo oo markaasi dadkeena qaar ay macnaha ku habboon tahay inay ka qayb qaataan. Okay, I think these are the different types of admissions. When it is with restrictions, sometimes if somebody has been detained under Section 37, he has to be there for a period of time. If the consultant feels that the person is okay, they can release him if there is no restriction, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. But when the consultant in the hospital are unable to release the person.
So if somebody's put on a hospital order with the restriction order, that would be a Section 37, the hospital order, and the restriction order is Section 41 of the Mental Health
So
Act.
it is 37/41.
That is correct. Now, a magistrate cannot put a patient on a restriction order. It's only a high court judge. So this will be for a very severe crime. Now, in terms of mental health units, your local community mental health unit might be regarded as an open ward. The doors are not locked. Occasionally you might have a low secure locked ward in your local community, and somebody could be there on a Section 2, Section 3.
Which one? Which hospital?
No, just your local general psychiatric unit will have open wards and may have a locked ward, but patients there are generally on a Section 2 or Section 3, or they're informal. Occasionally you might have a Section 37 patient there, but not very commonly. Now, you also have medium secure units. In London you will have 3 or 4 dotted around London. There's one in Ealing, there's 3 Bridges, which is closest to us here in the studio, and there'll be others in the London area. And through the country you will have different medium secure units. In the east of England, you've got the Norvic Clinic in Norfolk, for example, serving the east of England. And then the country also has a couple of maximum secure units, high secure psychiatric facilities such as Broadmoor, which people will have heard of, and Rampton as an example. So the high profile serial killers or high profile cases you'll often hear have been sent to Broadmoor or Rampton for review. And there you'll have a lot of patients under the forensic sections. Now, if somebody's put under a restriction order, that restriction means that, yes, they go to a more secure hospital for treatment, but it also means that the consultant in charge of the patient does not have the authority to simply release the patient or even to send the patient on leave without the permission of the Home Office, under the authority of the Home Secretary. Now, the Home Secretary, obviously, him or herself, doesn't review all of things. There's a team of people reviewing this. But there as well,
the restriction order cannot be removed or dealt with without the Home Secretary approval.
Well, usually that Home Office team might be dealing with requests from the consultants, simply even just to give the patient escorted leave. But if it's to release, while the Home Secretary theoretically could release the patient, normally it would be the tribunal that would be given the opportunity to release the patient. And the tribunal with the restricted patient, the chairman of the tribunal would usually be a judge, rather than just a lawyer who doesn't have experience as a judge. And that's a far more rigorous tribunal. And of course, they might not simply discharge the patient automatically, but they might sort of do it in steps. They might give a conditional discharge. The patient might move from a high secure hospital to a medium secure, closer to their home, and then maybe to a low secure, or to sort of like a halfway house placement to help them to rehabilitate before they move back into the community. Now, that's all at the time of sentencing. Section 37, with or without a restriction order, is all at the time of sentencing. If, on the other hand, the person was already sentenced to prison for life or for any period of time, and only after their prison sentence started did the prison authorities decide this person needs to go to a psychiatric hospital, then they would contact, obviously, the Department of Justice, Home Office, and they might do a transfer section. I won't mention all the numbers of those sections because it'll just confuse. Those are not 3741s because that's not a sentence. They've already been sentenced to 10 years or to life, and they're now being transferred to a psychiatric hospital. When they become well, they get transferred back to prison. If, on the other hand, in some cases, they only have a 10-year sentence and their 10 years is up, but they're still in a psychiatric hospital, they might then be regarded as if they are on a Section 3. So they won't be released from hospital when they're still mentally unwell just because their sentence has expired.
Okay. Just to Section 37, with restrictions, 41, means the restrictions you said can be imposed by High Court judge.
The restriction order can be imposed by a High Court judge,
Yes,
but the restrictions mean that you can't release the person and you can't even send the person on leave without permission.
Okay. sidaa maqlaysaan Section 37ka oo macnaha amar ka soo baxa maxkamad ha noqoto maxkamadda magistrateska ama midda sare ayaa oo kaasoo qofka lagu geliyay isbitaalka ayaa marmar waxaa dhinac socda restrictionkaasi xanibaad baa saaran xanibaadda waxaa bixiya keliya high courtiga oo keliya ayaa bixiya high courtiga waxa ay markaasi ay qofkaasi haddii la doonayo in isbitaalka in laga soo bixiyo ma soo baxayo ilaa secretary of state-ka home office secretary-gu ay mataqaanaa ay ayadu amar ama qofka home office secretary-ga oo amar dhiibo uu ogolaado qof dayn kartaa ma jirto marka waxaa jira isbitaalada qofka loo kala dirayo waxaa jira 3 ilaa 4 hospital oo secure hospitals oo ku yaala macnaha London ku yaala medium secure hospitals in London, 3 to 4.
You'll have several in London,
several
around the country, one for each region.
Definitely. gobolada kalena waxaa jira mid mandaqa gobol kasta waxaa ka jira mid baa ka jira waxaa jira meelaha macnaha community hospitals psychiatric ayaa jira oo dadka ku jira ay yihiin dad lagu soo geliyay qodobadii section 2 iyo section 3 masalan waa dad loo keenay assessment 28 maalmood ee idin soo sheegnay ku jira ee la eegay xaaladooda ee qaar ku jira 6 bilood oo daawada aheed oo markaa nolol dhibku cusub yahay marka waxa suurtagal oo yiri dhakhtarka daaimer ku hadlayay in qof uu ku dhex jiro oo section 37 laakiin ma badna wax qaaliba ma aha oo inta badan la suga marka isbitaaladani waxa jira marka isbitaalo kale oo ayaga ma maximum secure la yiraahdo sida midka Bradmore ku yaalo intiina badan aad garanaysaan iyo Rampton oo macnaha serial killers dad ay ku jiraan dad markaasi dilal fara badan geystay and I have an interesting story. We have been just advocating for the rights of disadvantaged people, and I must have told you this story. We came across to a relative of a man detained under mental health, section 37 in Rampton, that is Nottingham. This is a psychiatrist, a unit that is heavily guarded. Means honestly, I myself paid a visit in February to see the gentleman. I think he is a fortified place. The people there are about 700 patients, and the government spends £100 million a year. There are 2,000 staff working, and the number of people inside is very, compared to the number of staff, is very few. So I think this gentleman, the patient, is Liban Awale. He has been detained 11 years. I think he is isolated socially because he is not able to see his relatives on regular basis. They mostly live here. The distance between London and the hospital is about 160. I think he is a 4 hours drive. So it's very difficult for an individual. Everybody has his own thing, means keeping him busy. So he's isolated, and besides that, the length of his stay is longer. So what we have done, we communicated with the hospital and there wasn't. We made a complaint, formal complaint, to the Nottingham Healthy Care Trust, which manages that particular psychiatric. There was no even. We put the idea across that the man should be transferred to low medium hospital, the Three Bridges, one in Ealing, one in Hammersmith. We said that could help the process of integration. Nothing, all calls fell on deaf ears. In the end, we made a protest. People came from Nottingham, London, and we protested against. I think the length of his stay, such long stay, what do you think? Can the person be kept there indefinitely?
Well, I mean, obviously I can't comment on individual cases, but the length of stay depends on the nature of the charge and on how the patient is doing. So it may well be the case that after a certain period of time, somebody still needs some treatment in hospital, but it may be the case that it will not always need a high secure unit. So the family could certainly motivate, as you said, you've done that in writing and you've gone to protest. You could certainly also put a statement when the patient is appealing his detention to the tribunal the next time, could speak to the social worker who's writing a report or send a report to the tribunal itself and say that you'd like to support the patient closer to home. If it was safe and appropriate for the patient to be cared for in a medium secure unit, not low secure, from high secure to medium secure, so not Hammersmith, but for this part of London, it would be Three Bridges and Ealing, then that could be considered by the tribunal. Is this patient ready to be stepped down from high secure to medium secure?
Can we initiate the argument and say we are up?
You can advocate for that on the basis that it would be easier for the family at a local medium secure unit to visit the patient more easily and to encourage compliance with treatment in the long term and to encourage reintegration and rehabilitation. And if that was seen to be therapeutic positively and useful for the patient, then that could impact the decision as to which medium secure unit, and in any event they would want to send the person closer to where they are from. And then in the medium secure unit, the family could go and visit the patient and also interact with the consultant in charge and the staff to see how they could be helpful to the treating team in preparing this person for possible further step downs from medium secure to maybe a transitional unit before consideration for
so
discharge.
There are all routes possible.
Yes, and let's say at the medium secure unit, if the treating consultant felt that the patient was unsafe for discharge, obviously the patient can still appeal to the tribunal for an independent hearing. But if the consultant equally feels that the patient is safe to be discharged, the consultant could write a supporting report in favor of discharge to the tribunal. The tribunal can still disregard that. So even if the family feel the patient is safe to be released, even if the patient says that he's going to continue medication and he feels safe, even if the treating consultant feels the patient is safe for release, the tribunal can still disagree. So it is an independent, high-level assessment. But of course, as Muslims, we have the best of intentions and niyat. We try and do the best actions we can do. And then after that, we leave the situation to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but we have to do our best. And I think that no treating team would be reasonable in rejecting a helpful offer of support from a family where it was seen to be therapeutic and useful for the patient's rehabilitation.
walaalayaal sida la socotaan barnaamijka ayaan ku jirnaa wixii su'aalo ah waana soo weydiin kartaan barnaamijka waxa uu ku saabsan yahay mental health legislation ka sharciyada iyo dadka jiran waxaan ka hadalnay qaababka kala duwan ee dadku ku galaan isbitaalada inta ay ku jiraan iyo waxa xaq ay leeyihiin ehelada dadkaasi galay waxaan ka tusaale u soo qaadanay ninka la yiraahdo Liban Awale oo ku jira isbitaalka psychiatrisiga weyn oo asagu 12 sano ku jira oo aan ka dacwoonay qoraal ka sameeyay markii dambana magaalada Nottingham aan tagnay oo kaga banaan baxnay hay'adii markaa mas'uulka ahayd khadka telefoonka waxaan siinaynaa fursadda barnaamijka oo gabagabo ku dhow waa nagala qayb qaadan kartaan walaalayaal. I think what I would like to say is that we have always the opportunity to engage, and I think nobody is going to reject a good engagement from, especially particularly from the relatives of the patient. From your own experience, do you normally authorize the detentions?
Well, I don't work in Rampton.
Oh yeah, no. I mean generally. Do you sometimes?
Well, I work in a general hospital. I don't even work in a psychiatric hospital. I work in a general medical hospital, where we will see patients on the medical and surgical wards who may need support and advice and assessment and treatment for their mental illness.
khadka telefoonka waa idin furan yahay haddii aad nagala qayb qaadanaysaan barnaamijka. waxaa laga yaabaa qof walaalkiina ehelkiina inuu isbetel ku jiro. I have seen one of the mothers who had a son whom she believes was mentally ill, but I think they sent him to prison. He has done, there was some form of wrongdoing. They sentenced him a period in prison, and they sent him to a normal prison rather than giving him a hospital order. So we are in the process of challenging, saying that this person is assessment. They based their decision on doctor's advice. They couldn't, the doctor mentioned there was health problem, but he just...
But it is always the case that the defense lawyer for the patient can engage their own doctor to write another report. So you could have a medical report from the prosecution, you could have a medical report engaged by the court directly, and the defense solicitor or barrister could engage a doctor to do an independent report. So then the family can be satisfied that they've had a further independent report, and if that still suggests that the patient should go to prison rather than hospital, then at least they've had the benefit of an independent report. So during the legal process, that is the time to try and engage an independent report. Once the sentence is done, obviously it's a little different.
Yeah, I think we're coming to the end of the program. We have to thank Allah for giving us the ability to do this useful program. We also have to thank our brother Muhammad Zain Green Thompson for always dedicating his time and coming to Kalson TV without expecting reward from nobody except Allah. May Allah enlighten his life and enrich him with much more knowledge that he has. Inshallah waxaan inta ilaahay aan iska arki doono mustaqbalka soo socda idinkaga tegaynaa habeen wanaagsan amaana Allah.